Commence primary ignition.
Hi, I'm Yeleni Kushin. I played Varys Offee in Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, and you're watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Hey!
Hey,
Happy
man, I still
Wednesday.
watch that, and I still get so mad about the Tales of the Empire. The
Oh,
Ferris
I
Offee.
know. Oh my god, that was so not
Stitch.
fair.
Like, we could have had so much more, and this is what
They
we got.
did her so dirty.
I'm gonna
So
die angry about that again.
it's
Just never
fine.
gonna like.
It's alright.
Yeah. Happy Wednesday, y'all.
Wait for
August 7th.
yeah, already.
I feel like I'm
First
at a
week
news desk. Like, I feel like I have to like say these things.
first week of August is already like underway and the con prep is on because I have a Wicked Comic Con in Boston this weekend and I'm like so much work
Yeah,
to
we're
do.
like back in the swing of convention stuff. It's weird because I feel like this year more than like any other year with conventions and like I don't go to any of them because I'm lame.
You're not lame.
But I just feel like this year more than like any other year since the pandemic, I feel like this one is like the most pre-pandemic feeling season for
Yeah,
conventions.
I
Like it
think
kind of feels like everything is like back to normal,
yeah,
even though,
I
you
agree.
know,
Even though
it's
COVID
not.
seems to be running through everybody at an alarming rate, especially post San Diego Comic Con. Um,
Yeah.
for those who don't know, our awesome man in the chair tonight is Dave because
Ooh.
Mark is still really sick.
Yeah.
But we wish him health and hope he gets better soon. Um,
Yeah, it's wild out there, y'all.
oh,
Like, just wash your hands and
mask up
wear a
if you have
mask
to.
and drink your orange juice and like
It's
just
just
if you're going to these cons, just take care of yourself.
emergency. It's your friend.
Yeah, it's wild and it's like, so many people that I'm either friends with or that I know that went to like these shows, like everybody's testing positive for COVID
It's
now and like
ridiculous.
D23 is this weekend and I'm like, "Oh god, guys, like please take care of yourselves."
I
So,
know. Oh my gosh.
um yeah, it's just like con season is in full swing, like right after San Diego, and it's going to be in full swing until like what, October?
November.
So,
Yeah,
November.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
con crud is a real thing.
it is a cruel thing. I've
It's
yeah,
icky.
my immune system is crap. So like
Right.
Concord is a thing. So I just kind of do my best to stay
Can't
away
wait for you
from
to
that.
go to a convention.
Oh, I
And it's
know.
like I don't know. We always joke with like conventions, like even before the pandemic, right? Like we'd all joke about like how conventions needed to be like sponsored by like deodorant companies and how it was just like a lot
COVID.
of very stinky people just congregating in like tight quarters in one place. And
3 p.m. on a Saturday in Chicago. I will
that's a
never
no
forget
from
it.
me.
Oh,
It's just
oh,
wild now, like looking at it, because I feel like now that the pandemic has happened, I don't even care what you smell like. I just don't want you breathing on me. Like, just don't breathe on me. I don't want to get sick.
you
So
sound
yeah, if you're,
you sounded like Max Denizen from Hocus Pocus. Ugh, say whatever you want, just don't
yeah,
breathe on me.
it's very that. Listen, it's seasonal, unintentional, seasonally appropriate joke. Because here's the thing: when you live in Central Florida, this is the other like weird thing about this time of year. Like,
Mhm,
it's still kind of summer because it's August,
mhm.
but like here in Florida, like kids are going back to school like literally this week.
Appalling.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like this week and next week. And so the school season is starting down here for us again. But also, when you live in Central Florida, it's Halloween. Like, it's literally Halloween already for us. Like, the parks are decorated.
I
The
love
first
it.
Halloween event at the Magic Kingdom literally happens in 2 days. So we
Yeah.
have just fully transitioned from like, hey, summer was fun to pumpkins, like pumpkins and skeletons everywhere.
Oh, I know. It's insane,
So
but it's great.
It is. It's a fun time of year, and you know, I enjoy a good Halloween season. So
Me too. Oh yeah,
yeah,
Not So
not so
Scary,
scary.
definitely.
We are
And
going.
it's one of my favorite events in the parks.
Yep.
I actually got to do it a few years back, and I actually got to trick or treat a little bit, so that was cool. Dressed as Harry.
Oh yeah, I 100% plan on trick or treating. And I mean, like, listen, I could totally exploit my 3-year-old and be like, "Hey, go get mommy some candy," but like, I'm just gonna go. Um,
The best part
so
is they
we're
will give mommy candy, and you won't have to
oh
ask.
yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, we're excited. It'll be her first event, first time doing it. I
Any
used
ideas
to.
for costume?
Oh, she has a costume chosen already. We're not
Ooh,
really talking about it until the deed's done, and
understandable.
then they'll be published photos and everything. But
Sweet.
yeah, the nightmare overlay is already a thing. We don't get that here on our coast. It kind of doesn't surprise me that it's already up. I mean, it's kind of the normal time of year for it, but yeah, it's wild to me. Like every year, it gets earlier and earlier and earlier. Like soon, we're gonna be celebrating like Halloween in July. um, yeah, the nightmare overlay
That's so
is
cool.
it's fun. It's a neat one.
That's
Um,
really cool.
I'm like not even a Nightmare Before Christmas fan. Like my toxic trait is that I don't love Tim Burton. Um, so it didn't really that movie doesn't do anything for me, but the overlay is very cool. Lots of
Yeah.
really cool little effects and a lot of love goes into that overlay every year.
Oh
So
yeah. I like how they decorate like they make like a gingerbread house in the
yeah,
ballroom and the dining room, and it's so cool. And I watched like a behind the scenes thing on how they build that, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing.
yeah. So I used to in my wild youth, and by wild youth I mean like 3 years ago, I was I was an Adventures by Disney guide, and I did the local adventures here in Walt Disney World, and I used to do the holiday tour, and we would talk a lot about all the
Oh yeah.
planning and details that what used to go into the gingerbread houses here at Walt Disney World and what happens to them after the fact and where all that gingerbread goes and how long it takes for them to prepare everything. And yeah,
Where does
it's
that
wild.
gingerbread go? I have
So
just had
here in Florida, I mean, I don't know about Disneyland, but here in Florida, they actually bring them to conservation land and the bees eat it. They water it down and the bees will eat the sort of watery gingerbready mush because they like the sugar.
oh,
And it's
wow.
yeah, it's part of the conservation process. It's kind of
That's
cool.
pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they take it all down and mush it all up and
That
water it
that
down a
would
little bit. And
that would not be what I expected. And
yeah,
that's
right?
probably the best possible answer.
Yeah. Well, it's like not safe for human consumption because it's been sitting out for like months,
That
literally
is
months and
true.
months. So it's not like they can like, give it to people to eat or anything
Yeah,
like that,
exactly.
but it's safe for our
For the
animal friends and
bees.
for the bees.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bees eat up all the old gingerbread and the circle of life.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great
Yeah.
thing.
Yep. So cool stuff there. Um yeah, I mean Star Wars. I mean, enough about Halloween.
You guys, so we are gonna delve into finally. I know you guys have been asking for her since we started the show, and we're really sorry we dragged this out for so long. But
Trash human.
yeah, we're gonna get into our trash human, our resident trash human, and Dr. Aphra, Dr. Kelly Aphra. It's great. I'm excited. As you can see,
Yeah.
got my celebration
She's
shirt on.
we were talking about this like right before the show, and Afra's story is one that's been going on for a
Oh god,
while, and the comics have been
like
running
almost
for
10 years.
a
Yeah.
while. Yeah. So she's she's a lot. There's a lot going on there. So we're gonna dive into her and how much of a human trash bag she is.
Yeah, we might
And
do a two-parter just so we can like
yeah. Yeah,
successfully.
I feel like it almost has to be a two-parter. And like, listen,
Right.
fam, we didn't plan this before the show. So like this is totally us going through this
Go
whiteboard
like
process right there with
looking
you.
through like the massive omnibus and everything and be like, "Oh, this girl's got a lot going on."
She
And
does. Yeah,
yeah.
she does. And she's kind of everywhere. But before we get into that, another wild 2 weeks for Star Wars news.
Oh my gosh.
Right now, I am very excited for the new Young Jedi Adventure stuff that's coming out.
Fantastic.
Um,
I was
the
gonna ask,
shorts,
what does it
yeah,
look
the
like?
shorts just came out. They're here. They're on Disney Plus now, so we get some fun new shorts, and It's been fun to watch some of these characters grow and evolve, and we now see that there are some new characters joining them and all
Nice.
that. I love that Disney is just leaning hard into merchandising Nubs, but doesn't seem to care about Liz and Kai, which is a little bit weird. But I
Yeah.
love Nubs, so I'm not mad about that. It's just
Right.
a bit strange.
He's so bloody
Um,
cute. You can't be
he
mad at him.
is. Oh my gosh! And listen, they just released a new clip, a new little like teaser clip. It's only like a minute long or something,
Oh, I
where
saw
like
it.
Nubs discovers another member of his species was a Jedi, and I'm like
Yes. And the
crying real tears.
like the little reliefs on the wall. I was like, this is so cute. So I'm
It's like
excited for him.
another bonkers High Republic like lightsaber has entered the chat, and it's gonna be really fun to see how that
Yay.
evolves, especially because like he is sort of this new and this
Yeah.
new species that we haven't seen before. So it's like nice to kind of get more of that filler story for his species and his planet and everything. So I'm excited for that.
Dave says Nubs Manny Buddy movie. Just saying. Yeah. Kristen Hildago, Pablo's wife, and resident Lucasfilm Maven, she put pictures of Nubs and pictures of Manny Jacinto's A Stranger side by side and said, I would 100% watch this buddy movie. And I'm like, it needs to happen. Like, just Nubs, like, pulling him back to the light. Here we go.
And listen, if anybody's gonna do it, I said this in the chat, and I stand by what I said. If anybody's gonna
Absolutely.
do it, it's gonna be Nubs, because how can you resist? It's Nubs. He's a blue teddy bear that loves plants, and I love that for us.
That's right. And looks so
Phenomenal.
fashionable and Jedi garb.
Oh no, I'm still stressed. Every time I see them in their mission garb, I'm like, Lord, protect these children. Like, protect these children.
Take them away from,
I
from
can't
all.
imagine like a Disney Junior show ending with a bunch of them getting like killed on Starlight Beacon. So like there has to be
Oh
like
my
a happy.
God. Oh my God. No. No, no, no.
So, there's got to be a happy ending, but I'm just like, the closer we tick to that point in the timeline, the more I'm like, what point do I turn this off and not let my 3-year-old watch this?
Jamie's in panic mode from here.
Oh, I mean, I'm regularly in panic mode. It's fine. Listen, speaking of like panic mode, we haven't had a show since San Diego.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how I was on like a do not resuscitate list as like the Lucasfilm publishing panel was happening?
I
We're
was like
getting
messaging you like crazy, like
the way
happening?
my phone was like physically hot. Like my phone was like hot because I was getting so many messages and like responding as quickly as I could. We are getting so much more supportive content for the Acolyte. So all sorts of new books. We're getting
Vernestra book.
this Vernestra book, which I'm like really
Check
excited about.
on Jamie. Is she okay?
Yeah. And listen, I've said this to a bunch of people. We have 100 years of stories that we could get out of Ernestra. So in a lot of ways, it was really
Seriously.
smart to kind of use her in the Acolyte, because there's so much storytelling that can happen there, because we don't know what she's been up to. So I'm really psyched about that. The new Kalnaka book is supposed to be, or it's a comic book. It's a standalone
One shot.
one-shot comic book.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be coming out very soon, and we've got all sorts of just new content coming from publishing, and
Which is exciting.
it's
So
exciting, but it's also, I think, for those of us who've been really invested in the run of the High Republic, as we come to the end of phase 3, which is the end of the run, I think we're all kind of like, well, what happens now? Like, what happens next? So it's nice to see that they're very strategic about using characters from the Acolyte, using characters from Young Jedi Adventures, using characters from other places to kind of keep that timeline alive. So I'm delighted.
yeah,
I'm so
girl.
excited. New art books are coming. New supportive content is coming. So that's so great for so many reasons. That's
Yeah.
so
You're
great.
glowing right now. You're
I
glowing.
am. Mostly because I was sitting in the sun all day at the pool. But yes, thank you.
No, but I'm talking like not like, oh my God, you're a lobster.
I mean, there's a reason why we're in long sleeves.
Oh, ouch. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good. The other big thing is we have D23 happening this weekend, and Lucasfilm has already said that they have a whole pavilion for Star Wars. So
nice, as they did in San Diego. They also have a Star Tours Speeder limited edition.
there's been a couple of like big merch announcements. I honestly like nothing I feel particularly like drawn to. I know right now everybody is like losing their ever-loving minds over the lightsaber set. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka.
Ashley, Matt, and James all signed that box, so
I
that's
got bad news for you on the reseller front there. That thing is going to be untouchable.
hmm Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
guys.
going to be untouchable. It's going to be really expensive. So, um, it's a bummer, but it's D23. They always do this.
They do.
So no big surprises there, but I am curious to see what the panels or any of the announcements or anything look like. I Somebody asked me the other day what I thought would be announced at D23, and I don't really
Oh.
know.
Dave got the Mall Speeder exclusive at San Diego. That thing looked cool. You got to get either Ray or Sam to sign that one, or both even. That'd be awesome.
I'm not even sure if I know what that looks like. I'll have to look it up. I was woefully out of the loop on merchandise in San
Yeah,
Diego.
it's just like for Phantom Menace where he's on that like half a wheel speeder
Is it
thing.
like a statue?
It's like a
Like a
little figure. It's a little Hasbro figure, and it's in a box that
got
has
it.
like the photo of the sand and stuff like that. It looks like
That's
classic
cool.
Phantom Menace merchandise with like the red and the black on
All
it,
right,
and it's got that big window. It's really cool.
I'm
But
into that.
but yeah, it's sweet.
The San Diego. Listen, I don't go to San Diego, and it always feels like a fever dream. Like these things get announced so fast, and I'm just
They
like,
do,
I
yeah.
can't
And
keep up with any of it.
we know that they announced a new Andor Black Series figure at Hasbro, which
Yep.
kind of ties into his look in the first scene he's in Rogue One. So he's wearing that dark leather jacket, and
Yeah,
we
that's good luck.
also it is good luck. Boom, as he shoots that poor guy with a busted arm. But we also have a Vernestra Black Series figure, which I know will be in your collection.
Yeah, I've had to really like slow down on I've cut like so much of my collection. Honestly, I'm probably about to start selling some of my bits and pieces here just because I have so much, and it's like I love seeing everybody's collections all together, but I'm also like I just don't have the space for it, and right now like the money could be better used in other places. So I
The
did
fan,
see the Acolyte, the vintage figures.
yes.
They're beautiful, and again, I'm just like if you know me, and I would rather throw down $100 for a book than buy action figures. So there are a
This is
couple of
smart.
like special editions of books that I'm kind of like keeping my eyes on right now.
Good.
So
Yeah.
it's I think when you're a Star Wars collector of anything, right? Like you have to be so strategic in
You
what
do.
you
Oh my god.
collect
I've
because I
I've
mean,
moved
so
away
many
from
people
yeah.
collect everything, and I'm like, how do you do it? A, financially, and B, where do you put all of
Oh, I know.
it?
Trust me. I'm going through that right now. I have so many Black Series figures that I'm just like, okay, they're in my storage, but I don't really like actively go for them. So I'm thinking of just, keeping the ones I absolutely want and then just
Yeah,
selling the rest. And I have so many pop figures from like Solo and other Star Wars ones that I can't sell. Like even for
yeah.
$5, I can't.
I'm really glad I didn't get into the pops. Like
Yeah.
I'm literally sitting in front of like the 5 Funko Pops that I have, and they're all like Rebels pops, and I have
Yeah,
no
I
desire
have
to like
all
throw
the Rebels
them.
pops and a
Yeah,
couple of
so
Clone
it's
Wars, but that's it.
yeah, I just can't. I always
Those are
admire
the
the
only
people
ones
that
I
have these huge, beautifully curated shelves, and I'm just like,
my
what's
Hot
that
Toys
like?
collection. I've moved away from the Black Series and the General Giant, and I've gone right into the Hot Toys, and it's it's
Yeah,
scary.
it's definitely a lot, and it's a lot to keep track of, and a lot to
Right. I mean, I have a
spend money
list.
on. So
We're getting into the 90s now, so
yeah,
there's
I think the
yeah, there's a
yeah, I was
lot.
gonna say that's literally where I was headed to next. So I think the other big piece of
Yeah.
information that came out this week,
Da-da-da-da! I thought of Jamie first thing.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of like you can see Manny Jacinto's fabulous jawline in person.
Cut.
I literally you
Need to
could
size
like
that back.
slice cheese on that thing. It's fine.
So we got Manny Jacinto joining everybody in Japan next year for celebration. I think this is his first con appearance, to be honest with you. So that's a pretty big deal. Um, we have Daniel Logan and Tamara Morrison returning, father and son, of course, and also adult son, if you want to go
I
that
can't even imagine how do you as Samara Morrison like keep that straight in your head? Like,
like
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, who am I? Like, who?
no idea. And we also I'm trying to think of the other guest. Oh my god, what the heck? It was another guest that they announced.
I'm
Sorry.
not gonna lie, I mostly blacked out looking at Manny Jacinto.
Yeah,
So, oh,
I'm
Alan Tudyk. It was Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. Yes, so we got K2SO, of course, joining them. Thank you, Dave. He's really awesome to me. If you haven't met Alan Tudyk yet, he's hilarious and he's so cool. And I met him just before Rogue One came out, and I was like, so.
Wait a minute.
Mm,
Will season 2 of Andor have aired by then?
yeah, I
Because
think
like
so.
they've confirmed that K2 is in season 2 of Andor, so that'll be fun.
Mm.
Yeah, I know you Firefly people are like, yeah.
Oh no! I've
Meanwhile,
never screamed at my TV louder than that. That is the most unnecessary death ever. Like,
I hear
fight
Alan
me,
Tudyk and I'm like, ah, yes, the chicken from Moana. It's fine.
oh,
Uh,
it's just really hard. I love it.
yeah, he's and the Duke of Weaseltown from Frozen.
Wesselton,
Um,
Wesselton,
yeah, so lots of good
and the
stuff happening,
toucan
lots of big
in
news.
Encanto too.
I know he's just all these rando voices. He's really everywhere.
I know it's great.
Um, he was Disney's good luck charm for a while because every movie he like had a weird voice in, they won an award for. So,
Seriously,
he's
Sherry, no, why,
uh,
why?
yeah. All
Ugh.
right. So news wise, I feel like that's kind of what we've got. We
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm proud of you, Japan goers next year. You're gonna
yeah,
have a good stack of guests, and that line from
gonna
Manny is
be
gonna be freaking long. I'm telling you.
yep. Um, so yeah, I think it's time to start talking about our trash bag. And I'm gonna keep calling her that.
Because she calls herself that, so
She
it's fun.
does. She does. So let's talk about Shelly Afra. So I don't even know where to start with her. Um, what I will say, because I know we have some people in the chat that are pretty new for her, new to her. Um, Shelly hasn't had, Shelly Afra. I mean, yeah, whatever you're gonna call her. Afra hasn't really had a live action or a animated series moment yet. She
Yeah,
is found exclusively in Marvel run of comics. Um, so if you're, looking to read up on her story or to follow her story, you're not going to really see her in anything
other than comics.
live action yet. Yeah, she's a comics girly.
And they pushed hard to have her included in like Book of Boba Fett, especially when Black Chrysanthemum showed up.
Yeah.
They were like really pushing, but unfortunately, no, it just didn't happen.
What I would say before we really start talking about who she is as a character and why she's important as a character and sort of where she comes from as a character, what I think is really important to understand about her is that she's one of those characters that has had interactions and cross sections and moments with a lot of different characters across a
Mhm.
lot of the timeline. So,
Yeah.
I felt the same way. Like, right when we saw Black Chrysanthemum, I was like, oh, this is gonna be our moment. Like, here she comes, because
Yeah.
it would have made sense for her to
Oh yeah,
show
totally.
up
Hi,
there. Um,
Kevin.
so what's
Attacking.
exciting about her is that, as you start watching these shows or reading these books, you really have to kind of keep an eye out for her because there's a lot of different ways and places that she can show up. Um, One of, I think, the most unique factors about her, again, before we really get into her story and who she is that she's really widely known for, I think, the sense of humor. Like, I can't think of a Star Wars character really like her. In a lot of ways, it almost feels like she breaks the fourth wall in a lot of ways, just sort of
Yeah.
talking about herself.
She's
And
like the Star Wars Deadpool right now.
yeah, I would agree. Yes, I think that's
Like
actually a
pure
really interesting way to
chaos,
put her.
pure
Yes,
snark. You don't know what she's gonna do. She's unpredictable.
no
She's
filter.
none. She
Um,
doesn't care who she uses in order to you know get what she needs out of things.
yeah.
And the crazy thing is she's completely honest about it.
Yes, and the jokes come fast and furious, but like the jokes are really serious. Like, so to sort of start her story, so Chelly Afra is the daughter of a man who was an academic, right? He worked at a
Corin,
university. Yeah, Corin. He was a an academic, really focused on studying the Jedi after the Jedi Purge. He believed that since the Jedi had been snuffed out in the galaxy, it was his research to kind of would kind of bring the light back to the galaxy.
right.
He and his family live in a separatist controlled world, so he really wants to sort of be the light for a lot of people that
Right.
aren't, really feeling that right now.
But in order to do that, he becomes very close-minded and often neglects his wife and his young daughter
Yeah,
to
like
the point
super hyper
where
focused.
yeah, like, to the point where, like, Lona, his wife, is telling him that she's leaving him,
Hmm.
and their daughter cut herself on a kyber crystal, and he's just like, "Huh?" Like, just
Yeah.
completely distracted by his work, and she's like, "Well, this just got easy," and she tells Kelly to pack a bag and takes her off-world to
Yeah,
be
so
out of
they
her
do. They start a whole new life. They live on this homestead. The problem is the homestead has a raider problem. So
Oh, of
they
course.
get raided, and Shelly, who's young, she's a kid at this point, literally watches her mom's arm get blasted off.
That was so horrible. Oh my
Yeah, it
god.
was rough.
So
And
much blood.
then she dies, not Aphra, her mother, dies.
Lona.
And when she ends up reconnecting with her father, the joke, and sort of why I wanted to start the conversation this way, is because the joke that she makes to her father, and I say this is like the most horrific thing, but she's
Yeah.
basically like, Mom's dead in a ditch, and the therapist says I might have issues. And I'm like,
Like, "Anyway,
oh,
hi."
oh, it's going to be like that.
Yeah.
So
Like, I
it
can't
sort of
imagine why.
sets, yeah, it sort of sets the tone for who this character is going to be. And I was talking to a friend about Afra just a couple days ago, and we joked about how like she is the product of a deeply broken home in
Mm,
the Star Wars galaxy. So like mom and
for
dad are
real.
constantly fighting. She kind of realizes that the only way to like get the attention from her parents is to like almost like kind of get herself in trouble in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so, like, cause trouble, and the only time they're not fighting is when their attention is on her. So
Correct.
it's just so insane.
It's sad, and it's sad, right? So I think that's a piece that we kind of miss with Afra as we start seeing her be this like very snarky, very. I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, like this Deadpool-esque character in this universe.
Yeah,
Is that she had a pretty crappy life. I mean, she had a really sad like life,
and
really sad childhood.
her mom is so jaded by, like, everything that has happened to her, like, probably like, feeling abandoned from her dad. Like, she's conditioning Chelly to basically, "You can only rely on yourself." And
Right.
concepts of good and evil are all, like, perspective because, you gotta make sure that your life choices don't interfere with anybody else's life choices. Like, that's a recurring theme,
And
and it's a motto that she lives by. So it's how she walks that morally gray area through things.
exactly. And the morally gray thing is what I really wanted to hit on because Afra is a character who isn't good and she's not bad. She
She's
kind of just
blunt.
she's blunt and she kind of just plays her own game, and she's one who is very aware where the winning side is and kind of aligns herself with that winning side.
Mm,
She ends up kind of following in her dad's footsteps and going to school and sort of trying to be an academic, but she realizes that her attitude as she kind of studies these things is like she's smart and she knows what she's doing and she does have the skill, but she's kind of a crappy academic. Like she's just
right.
really easily distracted and only wants to kind of flirt. And she has a whole bunch of like boyfriends and girlfriends that she's kind of like, actually, I think they're mostly girlfriends at that point, but
Yeah.
she's kind of just doing her own
But
thing and
also
antagonizing her professors, like just
yeah,
absolutely like antagonizing them.
they hate her. They are,
Hate
like,
her.
personally, like, to the point where they're out to get her. They are personally sabotaging her academic career just because they hate her. And it's insane because you're like you don't expect to hear that, but like she's been so disruptive and so chaotic that they're just like, I got you.
I think what I love the most about her academic career is that she literally blackmailed all of her professors to get her
Seriously.
doctor title. She they just didn't want to deal with her, and she ends up blackmailing her professors so that she can get
Yeah.
this doctor title that she didn't even really technically like earn. She didn't finish the program. And
But do you
she's
also feel like that was just a spider dad to be like,
oh
hey, look,
totally.
I'm a doctor and I did
Totally.
this easy. I didn't have to do anything that you did and I'm a doctor. Like,
Because there are points
middle
throughout
finger.
the comics when she literally jokes about how she's like, "Well, you can call me doctor. Like I'm a doctor." And like she does like bring it
Yeah.
up in that way that it's like, "Okay, so like you're a doctor, right?" And she's like, "No, I I went to a university and like, I blackmailed their professor, and now I'm a doctor.
Doctorate.
Um,
Dr. Blackmail, I presume.
what we start to see kind of unfold after she's earned this doctor title is sort of like a galaxy far, far away Indiana Jones.
Mhm.
If Indiana Jones was just the worst person you knew, like just the worst person you
Yeah.
knew. Um, she sets off on all of these archaeological sort of missions to find these various treasures from across different worlds, but the impetus to find them, right? Like the drive to find them, the mission to find all these various treasures that she finds kind of comes from different places every time. Like sometimes it's for a bounty, she wants the money. Sometimes it's because she's gotten herself deep in some issue and she needs to kind of find a way out.
Yeah. Buy
Sometimes
her
she's
way out.
just bored. Sometimes Darth Vader, the Dark Lord of the Sith, ends up being on her radar,
Uh,
or vice versa, and he ends up employing her. So the missions are totally wild.
and that's
But
as dark as you can get. If you're in
yeah,
Darth Vader's personal employ, you can expect chaos.
and I think we need to talk about the relationship with Darth Vader because, like, we mentioned that she's the kind of character that's had intersection like meetings with lots and lots and lots of different characters across
Yeah.
the galaxy, which means that she can crop up anywhere.
Right.
In her university days, she would, ran with Santa Staros, so she can show up in the Santa Staros timelines and the Santa Staros stories. Um, the Darth Vader ones, I think, are the ones that really become the most relevant in
Mhm.
her story. I think that's the storyline that sort of holds the most weight in the Dr. Aphra books and the comic books. Um, because Vader sees something in her that he really likes. Like he likes her success rate. He maybe doesn't love her attitude, but like you can't deny that she gets results and she gets the things that she
Right.
wants.
Exactly. And that's probably why it was so easy for him to like pull her into his employ because he is a man of obviously he's a Sith Lord. He doesn't care how he gets things done as long as he gets things done. And usually it involves choking someone out or cutting someone in half with a
That
lightsaber.
happened.
Dr. Aphra, also because it's not as conspicuous in certain areas that are not controlled by the Empire as much, like kind of like not fully under Imperial rule yet. Um, he needs her to go into these areas and get things for him. And it's easier for her to be covert and get this done for him than him to just send Imperial officers there to do it himself.
She also has a skill that I think catches his eye early on where she's incredibly talented at slicing.
Hmm.
Like anything, everything. She can slice monitors, she can slice locks, she can slice droids. And, you know, Vader ends up kind of finding her because of this prowess with specifically droids. And she's slicing some old, oh my God, my brain just shut down. The Roly Boys. Why did my brain
Tridekas?
just? Yes, thank you. Oh my
Tridekas!
God, that name did not want to. The
The
Roly
roly
Boys, the ones
polies.
that aren't BB-8.
I could have
She's
said
working.
BB-8.
I know, right? That's not who I was getting at.
I know.
But he kind of catches her eye as she's working on these like antiquated droids and bringing them kind of back to life, and he sets her out to find this sort of decrepit like Tarkin era droid chip that he's very invested in because these droids are like incredible. Like this personality was like an incredible interrogator and had a penchant for violence and would get results. And like Vader's like, well, yeah, I want that.
I
And
don't
so
want
she
to do
ends
all the
up,
work.
yeah, I don't want to do all the work. She ends up finding this chip from this like Tarkin era base on Dantooine, I think it was. Was
Hmm.
it Dantooine?
Yep. It was Dantooine.
And she finds the chip and she like just puts it into an old uh protocol droid body, and she's like having a hard time kind of slicing into it. She's like, yeah, this one's like really rough. Like I don't think I can, like, this is above my skill set. And between her and Vader, they end up bringing this droid personality to life. And here's the thing. I know all y'all love saying that like Chopper is like the ultimate murder bot, and Chopper
Oh,
murders this, and Chopper murders that. If you are a fan of Chopper, the droids in Dr. Aphra make
triple
Chopper look like
zero.
a purring kitten.
Mhm. And BT1.
I I have never. I've read a lot of comics. I've read a lot of comics, not just Star Wars comics. I have never read a comic where I was so eager to turn the page because I did not like the way a character was looking at me on the page until I got to
Woo!
Trip. To
Yeah.
000 to Trip.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Afra becomes, she makes herself the
With all
master.
the things on his finger.
Oh, I don't like
Oh,
this. I don't like
oh,
this.
no.
This is
Uh-uh.
actually like a really great time to have this conversation around Dr. Aphra and 000, I think, because like we're
Yeah,
coming up to Halloween and like Trip is like the ultimate like scary story to read for
for
Halloween for Star
real. Oh
Wars.
my God, please read that.
Because like imagine
It's funny
3PO,
because
right? Like
I just got a waitlist conversion from Sideshow for the 000 6.
why would you want this in your
I
house?
don't, because first of all,
So
okay, BT1 was a limited edition. They only made so many of them, and they don't have a Dr. Aphra figure, so it's like, oh, right out the window. And also, he's scary.
why would you want this? I wouldn't want this in my house.
No, I can't.
Absolutely not. So
No.
like imagine like, and y'all who are listening or watching, like you can Google this, right? Like you don't even need to imagine. But like
Mm,
000 or Trip is, he's a protocol droid. So like imagine like a chrome, like a gunmetal chrome
black
version
and
of
shiny,
3PO
red eyes.
with glowing red eyes. And instead of like the hands that we're used to with 3PO, it's just a bunch of sharp things.
It's
It's
full of pain. Here
and
you go.
he's yeah, I no, I don't like this. Get that off the screen. I
Yeah,
don't like this.
sorry. Just so you know,
I
people,
do not like
do
this.
not have this coming at you in a dark room.
Yeah,
Scary.
and this is what Vader wants, right? Vader wants her to like, you know,
Yeah,
bring this
John,
protocol droid
absolutely.
online.
This gives
Yeah,
us
he is the
nightmares.
Star Wars Freddy Krueger. He is really frightening. I don't like looking at him. Edward C3, yeah, Edward Scissors C3, yeah.
Oh
I'm
my
not even
God.
reading that because honestly, I'm so emotionally distraught by Trip. Like, I don't like him.
Like you think
Th-
those giant round orb stabby injecty droids are bad?
It,
No.
I'm
It's
glad that
just,
neither of us could remember droid names today.
oh my God. The one that tortured Kanan, we know.
Yeah, yeah.
And Leia and Han and just everybody.
The thing is, so the one redeeming factor of Trip and BT is that they are literally allegiant to nobody, which ends up backfiring spectacularly on
Big
Aphra.
time. Oh
Like
my God.
this droid wants nothing to do with masters, and he doesn't give a shit who the master is.
Uh,
Like he absolutely turns on all of them, and it creates a whole bunch of chaos, scary chaos. Like not even like, oh, that's cute chaos, like scary chaos.
yeah,
But
not
the
chopper
most
chaos.
redeeming factor of Trip and BT in the Dr. Aphra run is that the banter between the two of them is
Oh yeah.
actually really funny.
Yeah, it is.
Like when
Good way.
you read the little, because it's always like the little like side comments that is like not the main topic of like the conversation. So like you're reading things, you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute, is that droid singing about murder? Like,
Yeah.
is that droid like singing a song about dismembering people? Like that's weird. Um, there are some spectacular one-liners between Trip and BT. Some of my like again, as much as I hate looking at Trip, like some of the lines are some of my favorite from Dr. Aphra,
Oh
and a
my
lot of the credit for that has to go to Alyssa Wong, who has written, I think they've written just about the entirety of Dr. Aphra, right?
God.
Alyssa Wong.
I think they did the second. I think she's done like a later run. She didn't do the
Oh, then
early.
maybe not. Okay. I
Yeah.
thought they did the earlier run too, but regardless, Alyssa Wong has done a lot of spectacular work with Dr. Aphra and a lot of great writing. And my brain escapes me now, but whoever wrote some of those like little songs that Trip sings about murdering people, it's a lot.
Sprinting is undignified and built for the finer things in life, like hollow chests and peeling skin from flesh. Straight from Trip. Straight.
Phenomenal.
Droids aren't meant to do many things, sir. I rarely let that stop me as he pulled out a needle in his finger. Craziness.
The the power dynamic between Aphra and these droids shifts almost immediately when things start to go badly, right? Like she sort of stops becoming their master and the droids end up kind of controlling her, and she just has a really hard time containing them and often finds herself sort of running from them.
Yeah,
Um,
scary.
it is, and it's again, I think it's a testament to how fun the story is. And like when I think of the Dr. Aphra comics, the first word that comes to mind is fun. Like it's stupid fun. Because yes, there's some heavy content there, and yes, there's definitely some um, power dynamics that are really interesting. But I mean, this is a character who will like look into the camera, right? Like look at the reader right through the page and make a stupid comment, and then kind of just carry on with whatever plot.
Yeah.
Um, Afra has her share of heartbreak. Like she definitely has, we talked about her parents. We talked about her watching
Yeah.
her mother get her arm blasted off. We talked about her telling her dad she needs therapy. She has a very tumultuous love life, which is really complicated, and a
Right.
lot of it stems from her fear of having been abandoned, essentially abandoned by her father and by watching her mother die.
Yeah.
Um,
But
the other
also
thing I
like
was
that conditioning, as I said earlier, to do things on your own and don't rely on anybody and you know make your own way she's made her be completely self-reliant, and that's kind of against her protocol to trust in other people.
It is, and it's she's a very like I don't want to work with anybody else because I want to play by my own rules.
Right.
And you see that come up time and time again as some of the methodology she uses in whatever mission she's on is very like unusual, and it's not
Yeah,
something you see a lot of other characters do, and it's because she doesn't have to answer to anybody. She doesn't have a
exactly.
team. She doesn't have to a boss. I mean, she has Vader kind of breathing down her neck
Which she
throughout
handles.
which she handles. Um, but the not having to respond to anybody or answer to anybody, I think, is really interesting for her. I think as I was preparing for the show, I was kind of reading through just some high level comments because as much as I wish I could say I had the time to reread my pile of trades, I didn't. And it's been a minute since I've read through all of the comics, so I was
Right.
trying to kind of refamiliarize myself with some of the finer points, the things that I missed.
Right.
And one of the things that stood out to me um, is something that I had totally forgotten about. But Vader does what Vader does, and he kind of says to her, like, "Don't fail me. Like, if you fail me, it'll be the last thing you ever do. I'll kill you." And without missing a beat, Afra kind of looks at him and says, "Do it with your lightsaber." And I was like, "Okay, like maybe like." She makes all sorts of jokes about the Jedi and everything, but the reason she wants to die, like if
I
Vader's going to
won.
kill her, she wants Vader to kill her by his lightsaber because she doesn't want to be jettisoned out into space. She doesn't want to die slowly alone and
She
be
wants it
abandoned in
quick.
space. I just thought that was so sad because I'm like, she understands that in her line of business and with the associates that she's kept, that she's gonna die at some point at one of their hands, and she
Yeah,
doesn't
like the line
want.
where she has like I'm going to live, and then sorry, 000 sticks his head out from the side and says, "For now, Mistress Aphra," and I'm like, "Ah!"
Yeah,
But
it's
truer words,
it's
man.
she just doesn't want to die being abandoned. And I
Right.
think you see that come up time and time again, whether it's through death or some of the relationships that she keeps. She's just a character that doesn't want to be abandoned. And I think her antics and her way of doing things is kind of her way of saying, like, I'm going to leave my mark on the galaxy my way, and nobody can take that away from me. Like everything else has been taken away from me, but
Yeah.
nobody can take that away from me.
Also, like, there's not very many people, like, as much as it, like, we see it happen in Rogue One and things like that, and all those Padawans and stuff. But
Yeah.
there aren't very many people who can say they've been directly killed by Vader's lightsaber. And I think also, not only does she not want to die alone, but she considers it like a point of honor. I guess, like,
Yeah.
oh, well, like, my mom didn't believe the Sith were bad, and here's one trying to kill her daughter. Ooh,
Um, yeah, and we talked about at the beginning of the show how this may be a character that we start the conversation now and have more of a conversation with later, um,
definitely. Part
because the
one.
comics
This
are
is part
really
one.
split into the comics are really kind of split into, I don't want to say phases, like two sort of what do you call it? Like two arcs, maybe two.
Yeah, there were a couple of arcs for this, and I honestly like the first one is obviously like a little more centered on Vader and how she played into the Darth Vader comics as well about that time. Um, so she was showing up in 2 issues a month in some cases, in both the Darth Vader run and her own series. But like later on, she stayed mainly in her own series, and I think it was like after he faked she faked her death to get away from Vader because she double crossed him. Um, it's kind of yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
and really
where I bookmark it.
the stories that were kind of like laying or that we're laying out now, I think really kind of fall into that first like phase of comics. And the the most recent, and I think it's the final wave of. Am I right in that? It's like the final wave of Dr. Aphra has just finished.
I think so. I think they've put it on hiatus right now. Um,
Yeah, and that's the series that I know Alyssa Wong is working on
yeah.
or was
So
working on.
yeah, she's been
Um,
on it for a little while, but it's definitely like this later arc.
all this to say, we will probably revisit Afra a little bit further down the line with some of the more not up to date, but like the more recent stories, I guess.
Right.
Reason being is that a lot of the recent, oh, there goes my ring light. A lot of the more recent Afra stories have not been collected yet in trades. So
Yeah.
you're looking at individual issues, and it's a little bit more complicated for those of us who are like way far behind on the individual
Right.
issues to get ahead
Yeah.
on. So
Same.
we probably will revisit that. A couple things came
This for
up
you,
in the
Juan.
yeah, yeah. We've been talking about doing Afra for a while, and I think because there were people in the chat that said that they weren't terribly familiar with her, this was sort of a good place to hopefully get you started on the right foot,
Yeah.
or introduce some of the content. Dave asks or says, do you think that Afra is a little bit of an inspiration for Jyn Erso? Afra was found and used by the Empire, where Jyn was used by the Rebellion.
Yeah.
Um,
Although she came out a little bit before Rogue One came out, so probably like a year or two before Rogue One came out. And it's honestly, yeah, I think she might have been the inspiration for that in some regards. Like, okay, well, we know she's working for the Empire, or at least Vader. Um, let's see where we can go from here. But
I disagree a little bit.
yeah,
Um, I see Afra as almost more of a free agent,
okay,
because she is kind of like, obviously she works for the Empire with like her connection to Vader and everything, but like she's also been involved with like a bunch of the bounty hunters, and she's got like this partnership is kind of like a loose term, like this sort of deal with Black Chrysanthemum to kind of get some vengeance back for him on the people that hurt him. So I see Afra as a little bit more of a free agent,
yeah,
whereas once Jyn is really kind of entrenched in the rebellion, I think she kind of really does believe more in that message. Jyn has morals, whether
that is
they're
true.
morals that we agree with or not. Jyn has morals. Afra has no morals whatsoever,
Yeah,
none.
and
Sis
she's
plays it
not
fast and
shy about
loose.
it.
Mm-mm.
Not shy about
She's
it
not
at
shy
all.
about it. She plays by her own rules, her own code. She doesn't answer to anybody, and her morals are like totally out the window. Um, so I don't know that I see her as being really like a hand in hand with Jyn, or an inspiration for Jyn. Afra Afra is so unique to me because I really do feel like there isn't another character in Star Wars quite like her. Because really, like, can you think of another character in Star Wars that has been, and I'm going to listen, I'm going to put this into the universe, and I'm going to feel really stupid if there's somebody like obvious that I haven't really thought of, right? But like, when you think about like an archaeologist in Star Wars, is there any other character that really like comes to mind
No,
that's like going on these like very specific archaeological missions and runs and hunting out these like artifacts as like a full-time gig, as opposed to like, you
fighting
know,
the Empire or fighting the rebellion. Yeah, it's
yeah.
everybody's so entrenched in that fight, and there's no one else that just kind of plays by their own rules and says the hell with either side. I'll play against you both, and like she does. Grave
Yeah.
robber, yes, one of
Yeah,
all things.
Literally, she's a great, like, she has no
Seriously.
morals. She's like,
None.
dig 'em up, let's go.
Dig 'em up.
But it's also like just so
Yeah.
fascinating to me because like in the grand scheme of things, even though she's like, yeah, I don't care how I die, I don't care how I die, like there have been little glimmers of Aphra where you're kind of like, oh, but she does care how she dies, she does care about
Totally
these
does.
relationships. Like as she kind of falls in love, she kind and again, falling in love for Aphra is like very different in my opinion than like falling in
By
love
the
with any
way,
other Star Wars
really
character.
huge that Aphra is the first main character in the LGBTQIA spectrum.
She
Yes.
is a lesbian. Um, we love to see it. And then the other thing that I love about Aphra is like she's obviously like again, this is a galaxy far, far away. Asia doesn't exist in a galaxy far, far away, but she is Asian coded,
Like
and
Sabine.
like Sabine, and the team, a lot of the people that have brought Aphra to us are Asian, and I just think that that's
Beautiful.
freaking great. I love that.
Yeah.
Uh, but I do.
Representation, y'all.
It is. She is such a beacon of representation, and I think that's why a lot of people initially gravitate towards her. But like, she's also just a freaking great, terrible character. And I say that because she's a
Despicable
terrible
human
character.
being, but honest to God, she's
You love to
fun.
hate her. Yeah, you just
Yeah.
love to hate her. Um,
Juan, you didn't get this shirt at Celebration Anaheim? Like, I figured you would. That's where I met you, bud.
yeah, there's definitely there are instances
Different planets
where
into artifacts.
try to
Oh
think.
God.
What book was it, Sherry? Do you remember? Oh, you can't remember the. I'm sorry. Like I literally didn't even read the last sentence. My brain. I spent too much time this Sunday where it literally says I can't remember the book. Got it. Too much
It's
time in the
okay.
sun. um,
I mean, I'll look it up for you.
no, it is she just and I mean it in every sense of the word. She is really just like the um Indiana Jones of Star Wars, which I think is
Yeah.
also appropriate. And one, I don't think anybody can hate you for loving Dr. Aphra, right? Because as much as I sit here and say she's a trash bag human and she's an awful character, she's awful by design. And I think part of why I love Aphra is that you look at her and you kind of grind your teeth as she does and says these terrible things, but it in a lot of ways almost makes you question like your own morals. Like, why am I so outraged by this character that has no morals whatsoever? And it's
Seriously.
because I have morals and, I'm reading this and saying, oh, this is rough. But I think that's the great thing about fiction across the board is that when you have a character
Mhm.
like this that makes you really think critically about what's right and what's wrong and why is it right and why is it wrong, you know?
I think you need to have a character with no morals and no code to just kind of guide your way through things. Be like, oh, okay, well, she sees this, and yeah, that's exactly what I
There it
said
is. It's
earlier,
back.
Juan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's back. Yeah.
But yeah, you have to have this morally decrepit character in
Mhm.
order to just kind of gauge the reader's morality. Like, okay, would you agree with what she does, or would you be like against it because she has no code? She will throw mama from the train.
Well, and I can't believe we haven't talked about the fact that like she's partnered with the Bounty Hunters Guild
Mhm.
and she's partnered with Vader. And I think we're kind of forgetting that in her own roundabout way, she partnered with Harrison Dula.
She did.
It it wasn't how it was supposed to happen.
No.
She was supposed to capture Hera as a bartering chip,
Yeah. You don't
and it
capture Hera. Come on
and
now.
it kind of, again, I would encourage you to read the read the issues because honestly they are a lot of fun. But
They're so good.
it kind of didn't go that way, and she's proven time and time again. Like again, we'll use Chrysanthemum as an issue as an example, right? You could say that Chrysanthemum is a villain, right? He's a bounty hunter. He's ruthless. We've seen him do terrible things.
Got scars.
Um, yeah, but Aphra partners with him and then says, "Hey, um, I want to help you. Like, I want to kind of help you get vengeance on the person that did all these that
Vengeance, yeah.
inflicted all these scars on you. So does that make her a bad person or a good person? Because she's saying like she wants to help this person who was abused get their moment of retribution.
But what did she want out of it?
Great question. So this is where it comes back to like, is she, this is what makes her, I think, in my opinion, like a true gray character. She's not bad.
Absolutely.
She's not good. But see, there it is again, Juan. She does screw over Black Chrysanthemum a couple of times.
Yeah.
So where are her morals with a character like that? Is it that she truly doesn't care about him and she's willing to do whatever she needs to do to save her own skin? Probably. But then why would she turn around and say, I want to help you get that moment back. I want to help you get that retribution and that
And also,
vengeance.
she keeps partnering with him. Like, none of
Also
them are
that.
learning their lessons here. But
Also that. You know, I think she's a lot of fun. I think she's fascinating. I cannot, of all of the characters that have come out over the last decade, um, I can't believe that we haven't seen visual, not visual media because
a
comic books,
live
but like
action.
a live action
Yeah.
or even an animated version of her.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Who
kind of
knows?
like even the Bad Batch could have used her in some
Do
weird
you
capacity.
honestly think that, and I'm just, I don't even know the timeline here with this, but it'd be so cool if she showed up in Skeleton Crew. I'd lose my shit.
Skeleton Crew, she would be very old.
Yeah, so I guess not, but it would be
Um,
cool.
because she is human, so she does have a human lifespan. Um, I I don't know where I would expect to really see her.
Unless they go back and do like an animated thing, which would be fun. I honestly, it would be exciting to kind of have
Oh,
her.
Rise of the Red Blade.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
I'm coming up on that. It's been sitting on my bookshelf.
Chelly Luna
It's
Afra
Shelley
one.
Lona, yeah. Um, Rise of the Red Blade is coming up on my read. I am in the Ascendancy trilogy at this point, so I think I'm like 3 or 4 books away from Rise of the Red Blade, and I know
Girl,
everybody
you're
really loved it,
busy.
so I'm excited. Yeah. Um,
It's crazy.
I really want to see a live action. I don't know that I want to see her in animation, and because here's the thing, I know adult animation is a thing. Wherever Aphra shows up, it needs to be an R-rated film, or like an R-rated, like it needs to be like an adult show because she is not a character that I think can be
No, and
watered down
Trip and
for.
BT are scary.
Yeah, she's not really a character that I think can be like watered down for the youths.
She's a Deadpool. Okay.
Yeah, she really needs to like she's the character where she gets like more than one strategically placed F-bomb in the
Do
show.
you think? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Um,
We could have her team up with Hondo, and all hell would break loose. I'm sure.
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't think the timeline is ready for that.
No, no.
Just
But
absolute anarchy.
honestly, if they were gonna do an R-rated Star Wars, like they've done an R-rated Marvel now, if they were gonna do an R-rated Wars, it would be for her because
I would
it's
agree.
just
Because
amazing.
listen, the one thing that the fandom loves is seeing Vader come back. Like we all know
Yeah.
this. Like every time that Vader shows up, everybody loses their mind. And I get it. And I have beaten the horse dead on this show talking about how I literally don't want to see any more Skywalker content and I'm so tired of seeing Vader show up. However,
This would be the
I
exception.
I would eat my hat if
The sacred timeline.
this is where I would be okay with seeing it, right? Like
Yeah,
I
agreed.
would love for that moment to like just recreate any of those beautiful variant comic like covers with Vader and Aphra where like he's got the saber in her face or he's like
Oh,
standing
I
behind
love
her
that.
menacingly or he the I mean I don't know if we
Oh,
can call it banter with Vader but like the conversations between the two of them are
yeah. He's like 7 feet tall, and she's just like.
yeah she's this like little short woman with all these tattoos and she's just like holding her own against Vader so
And Vader's just
you know
looking down at her like.
I I love the idea of the archaeologist and I
Yeah,
love the idea of the bounty hunter and I love the idea of just
the
this character.
ace, the wild card, like
Yeah, she's
chaos.
bonkers. Um, but I do think that if when she I'm not even gonna say if when she shows up, on either the small or the large screen, it needs to be a very dark series that isn't going to be afraid of adult situations and
Correct.
adult language and
Yeah.
some intense
The Game
violence.
of Thrones for Star Wars. We'll just call it that.
Yeah,
But
she's a lot of
honestly,
fun.
I think Vader's so used to everybody being terrified of him, and she's not.
She's
So
not. She just doesn't care.
yeah, she's just like, oh well, if you're gonna kill me, just use your lightsaber, okay? All right,
And it's wild because, like, in
play.
Star Wars, it's like in Star Wars, there's lots of things to be afraid of, right? Like there's so many things to be afraid of, and it's the basic human things that scare Aphra, not
Not
a
the
7 foot
outlandish
tall,
bonkers. Oh my god, you just mouthed off to a freaking Sith Lord.
or like the fact that she's got these droids constantly chasing her and threatening to skin her alive and all these terrible things. So it's like the human thing. She
Sorry.
just doesn't want to be abandoned, and she had a terrible childhood, and she just yeah,
Yeah, she
we
definitely
kind
is.
of tiptoed around some of her relationships
We'll get into that in part 2 for sure.
in part 2 for Aphra. Yeah, she because there's some important representation there. She
Real.
definitely kind of plays the Empire, but then realizes, oop, kind of into this person.
Hey, lady.
Uh, and then you've got Tolva, not Tolva. My God, why is my brain not braining today? It's because I've said this 16 times. I sat out in the sun for like 10
You
hours
melted in
today.
the sun. It's fine.
Magna
Magna Tova.
which just always sounds like a Jewish blessing to me. Like Shana Tova, but I'm sorry, I'm done. See myself out. Thank you. Good night.
It's like, yeah. It's Magna Tolvin.
Tolvin! Yeah, not Tolva. Shana Tova, but nope.
Shenatova.
I'll just be here under my blanket, just pretending this didn't happen. Lives on the internet forever. Hooray.
It's all good.
um, yeah, so for those of you Sanastaros,
Santa Solo.
Santa, what are we talking about? See, now I'm all confused. That
Oh,
was
they just talk
Tuna
about
Solo.
all of Aphra's lovers. But yeah.
Oh, listen, okay.
I guess
I
her
mean,
name.
that's an exhaustive list. There's a long list. Um, right. So hopefully, if you got through any of this
That would be
screening,
really cool, Dave. Like, honestly, like, even if she was just hinted to, I'd be like, whoa! Like, no words.
but
We could hear Juan yelling from here if that happens.
I'm just thinking, like, with Andor, hang on, my brain is putting the timeline together. I just don't. What would she really be up to during Andor? Because that would be right up against the first arc of the comic run. So I mean, she'd probably be. Oh geez, I don't even know. I gotta like sit down and like map. I gotta get the graph paper out where I map out where all these comic book issues take place. I don't know. See, if they name drop her, I guess I would be interested. I don't want it to compromise either the Andor story or
Right.
the Aphra story. I would rather they just sort of held on to her until they were really ready to use her in a way that made a big impact and made a big
Yeah,
splash.
I agree. She deserves
And
it.
she does. And I also I think her story would be like fun in episodes. Like I think it would be a fun show to see in like hour-long episodes. I don't even necessarily think a movie. Like, I don't know, maybe 2 seasons of her just dicking around doing terrible things around the planet, or around the galaxy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll see. Fingers crossed.
I want to see it though. I do. I would hope that they would do something
Yeah,
with it.
so
I really, instead of
it would be
you know,
insane not to. It really would be insane not to. Think of it.
and this
You
is what
have
I've been saying is like there are shows that I don't think deserve multiple seasons when there are characters like sitting right there that just need one season. I
but you
just
know we're
think
gonna want to if it goes off as well as it could, you know we're gonna want more.
more, but I think that we have beaten so many of these characters into the ground at this point where it's like, okay, we've got it. We have their whole story. Why are we continuing to revisit them when there are fascinating characters literally waiting right here for us? I've said that a lot. And I was trying to be diplomatic because I really don't want season 2 of Ahsoka. Anyway, um, for those of you who came into this show knowing nothing about Aphra, I know we didn't give you her entire story. That was partially by design. I think it's important to kind of understand who she is before you start talking about some of her later exploits, because she is a gray character, and she's a very unique character in the galaxy. Hopefully, at the very least, it will inspire you to pick up some of the books from your local library or your comic book shop. The earlier ones have all been put into trades. The trades aren't even that expensive. I think they're like $14 trades, so
Yeah,
they're
seriously.
not terribly expensive. So definitely do that. The current issues, before it goes on hiatus, are not yet published in a trade paperback, but you can find the individual issues if you are tenacious, because there's a lot of them.
Really.
Yeah, I don't know. What else should we? What else do you have to say with her at this point, knowing that we are going to revisit her and
Yes,
add
we will
on to this
revisit
conversation
her.
later?
Um, honestly, I highly recommend. This is a good uh starting point. Just kind of get yourself familiar with this first arc up until, like, her adventures with Vader and things like that, and just kind of get a sense of her as a person, and what you would deal with her, and just honestly be expected to fully realize that she will be a terrible person and
Yes,
terrible things will happen, and
yes,
just expect it. There's no morality to her. It's what can you do for me? And I think that's probably refreshing and entertaining in that way, because it's everybody's either got a purpose, they're for the light side or the dark side. She walks that line. So, um
Oh, you missed our conversation about BT and Trip.
yeah, we delved deep into the craziness that are BT1 and 000, uh, including scary pictures.
Mm-mm,
Sorry,
don't like
sorry,
that.
Jamie,
Mm-mm,
not putting them back
mm-mm,
up. But
mm-mm.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm not afraid of a lot of things. I'm afraid of Trip. I don't like him. I don't like that. No, it's a no
sorry.
for me.
So
It's a
now that
no
I'm
for
done
me.
terrifying Jamie, yeah, definitely check out that first arc of Dr. Aphra, and yeah, be prepared. We're gonna revisit her so soon, so it'll be like Aphra revisited or something like that. Yeah, one.
Yeah, Afro Revisited. Who's gonna combine two shows on the network?
Yeah,
There
hell
it
yeah.
is. That's
Well,
fine. I'm into
most of
that.
us anyway.
Right.
So,
Uh, oh my God. Now that the family vacation is over, I'm like, wait a minute. What announcements do we even?
yeah,
I
as
guess
of
like what's going on the
Thursday
channel?
night, tomorrow night, they have the watch along, but they're gonna delve deep into the family vacay, their
Yeah.
adventures, the exploits, the buntas. It's all gonna be
Buntas.
discussed. The buntas, the many buntas. So much fun. Rip roaring time had by all. Like, honestly, I haven't heard a bad thing about it. So amazing. Yes, Stinky Punky Muffin stickers, which were amazing. Mando watch along episode 1, season 1 tomorrow while they discuss the family vacation. So yeah, feel free to queue up your Disney Plus for that. Um, let's see. Oh, Dave, Juan wants to see Stinky. I don't know if we have him in this one, but we'll see. Um, but we also have, I think it's the Jedi Archives on Sunday, I believe. Or yeah, Unifying Force was this past week. Um, so yeah, Jedi Archives on Sunday with John, Bryce, and Mike.
And now that we're in August, I'm going to do a shameless plug for something else that's happening. If you are either a uh, California or a Florida resident, we are back in our prime Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Discord lightsaber meetups. Oh,
There
there
it
he
is.
is. Hang on. Oh,
Oh, look at
oh,
him. He's
the
beautiful.
rainbow really adds to it. That's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. But we're back in lightsaber meetup
Thanks, Dave.
territory. So if you're here in Florida with me, we are going to be having our Galaxy's Edge lightsaber meetup on Saturday, August 24th. that's coming up really soon. If you are of the Anaheim persuasion and local to Disneyland, Batu West is going to be having their lightsaber meetup on Friday, August 30th. So the 24th or the 30th, depending on what coast you're on. I know there's a lot of crossover between the VCN and the Galaxy Edge Discord, so I wanted to make sure I threw that out there. Been volunteering with them for a number of years. I will be at Batu East. Would love to see you all if you are there. I will not be at Batu West because I am not flying to California for that event.
Are you sure? You can always pull an Ashley X time.
No, I am after one event on Batu East. I need to sleep for like 4 days.
Yeah,
I'm done. But yeah, if you're going to those, let me know. I would love to see you. You'll know me because I'll be the one without the lightsaber. Usually
on purpose?
running back and forth. Yeah, I do a lot of running, and it's just too much to carry the lightsaber running back and forth. So it's just too much. But I make you guys look great with the lightsabers, and that's what's most important. So it's a great volunteer team. We have a lot of fun. The pictures always come out phenomenal. Come hang out with us.
I wish there was
See, there's
yes.
one.
So cool. I love the Twilight shot. That's really fantastic.
Yeah. I'm squinting. I'm like looking. So I'm like, oh, I forgot that. I'm like, the camera was gonna go right back on me, and I'm like right up there in the camera. Yeah. So I don't know. Is there any other announcements you can think of? Anything we've missed?
Yeah, I will be at Wicked Comic Con in Boston this weekend, this Saturday and Sunday at the Westin Seaport. Make sure you come see us. Not only is it a huge group of fantastic artists and writers in the industry, in the comics industry, but we also have the X-Men voice crew. So not all of them, because I think they're pretty busy. But yeah, we have like the original voice of Jean Grey. Like I'm pretty sure Allison Seeley Smith is going, or she was going at some point. But yeah, X-Men voice actors, amazing artists, amazing guests at the show, and me. I will be in the Galleria room at GH 303 if you want to come by and say hello. Yeah, I went nuts on the sketch cards for this show and the sketch covers, so I will have those. Don't have any new prints as of yet because I haven't like contacted my printer, but I have the files all set up on my computer. It's ready to go, so definitely we'll have them soon.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think that wraps up tonight's part one. I think that wraps up our announcements. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We're going to talk about some stuff. I don't know what that stuff is going to be yet. But we're going to talk about some stuff. Yeah. So, in 2 weeks, we'll know what we're going to talk about. It's going to be great. Thank y'all so much for playing with us tonight. I hope you had fun. We always have fun chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
Without further ado, I guess we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. So go out there, have some fun, be safe, drink your water.
Stay hydrated.
It's hot. Yeah. Bye, y'all. May the force be with you.
Bye.
Bye. For light and life, y'all.